Day 4 of the 12 Days of Culture. Today we're talking about CultureSMART Leaders. So there are 4 fundamentals of a great culture: the foundations, the focus, structures, and practices. We're talking about focus today, and in that there's one component, key component, and that's CultureSMART Leaders. So what is a CultureSMART leader? CultureSMART leader is a leader who has a culture in its focus. So why do we need leaders with culture in their focus? So we know culture is important to a company. We know it can make or break companies, but research shows that only 6% of a leader's times are spent developing and maintaining culture. If it goes out of mind, it'll be out of the focus, it'll drift and flutter away. If you take the garden analogy, it needs to be cultivated and maintained to keep that lovely garden. If not, it'll turn wild and the weeds will grow. So what do CultureSMART leaders do differently? 3 things. 1, they hold themselves accountable for culture, so accountability. 2nd, they ask and act on feedback. And 3, they repeat and reinforce the culture. So let's talk how you do that. So first of all, that accountability. How do you hold yourself accountable for culture? Set a KPI, a culture KPI, that then is measured regularly and looked at regularly, and it keeps it on that leadership agenda. So that's the accountability, setting a culture KPI. Ask and act on feedback. So 2 important words there: asking for it and acting on it. So 2 things they ask and act feedback on. They ask for feedback on the culture. How is that going? But also, how are they as leaders role modeling the values and behaviors of the company? So one question, for example, in our deep dive survey is, we ask the employees to rate the behaviors of our leaders is consistent with this company's values. Give a rating on that. And the leaders hold themselves accountable to that. So that's asking and acting on feedback. It can also be done as simple as asking peers and colleagues and reportees and other managers for feedback on how you as a leader or me as a leader is living those company values and behaviors. So that's the second one, asking and acting on feedback. It's most important when you get that feedback that you do something about it. 3, repeat and reinforce the culture. Repeat and reinforce the culture. So repeating the culture is we need to hear something at least 7 times before it starts sticking. So CultureSMART leaders make sure they weave in the culture to one-to-ones. So they connect goals and performance with the culture. They weave it into town halls on what's going well with the company and not so well, and connecting all that with the culture. Reinforce the culture. So how do you reinforce the culture? And that is tackling undesired behaviors. So they have the skills and the confidence to tackle undesired behaviors, and they don't let them fester. So they're the 3 things CultureSMART leaders do: hold themselves accountable, ask and act for feedback, and repeat and reinforce the culture. So if this resonated with you, book in for a free strategy session. The link is below, or take our culture design scorecard and see what score your company culture gets on their culture design. Links are below.